All right, welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. Man, a lot has changed since the last time we released a video just earlier this week. The world is a different place than it was just a few days ago even. And so I just wanted to do kind of an update on where we're at and how we're living and why we're doing what we're doing, and just what this whole COVID-19 coronavirus thing, what it kind of just brings into our minds, and what it just helps us to understand and realize, I think, as people, and especially as like farmers and homesteaders and people that talk about sustainability and all these kinds of things. What does it mean to us, and how are we doing with all this? So we're here in March 2020, and the coronavirus is raging around us. It seems to be just popping up everywhere, and the things going on around the world in Italy and South Korea, and now in Michigan they just shut down all the schools today. And for the next few weeks, our oldest daughter's going to be coming home from college. Michigan State University, as well as a lot of other universities, they're shutting down classes for the rest of the year. Everything's canceled or postponed. All the professional sports, March Madness, NBA and NCAA and NHL and golf tournaments and Disney World and Disneyland. I mean, everything is just closing down, and it's a wild. I never thought we'd see it. It's a strange thing, but that's where we're at here today. Just to kind of take a step back, I think to 2008. A lot of people, including myself, my wife and I, through that whole recession and just the kind of realization, I think, at that time that, wow, there are things that can happen around us and in society and in the country, and different things, like things can fail and things can go bad and things can go wrong. And I think that was the first time for a lot of us, at least in my age category, that, had really seen that happen in the scale that it did. And I think a lot of us I think that's when the whole homesteading movement kind of took off. I mean, it's always been around, even since the 70s, and the whole, save the planet thing and green everything and all that kind of stuff, was around. Captain Planet and all those things in the 90s. The word sustainability and living that way has been around for a while, but I think it really took off when people started to realize, wow, I'd really like to be a little bit more self-sufficient. I'd really like to not be quite as dependent on all these systems around me, and I'd like to kind of provide some of these things for myself. And I also think that there's a health crisis going on where people are realizing, wow, the food systems that are out there and the factory farming and how they're raising animals and other things, it's really not healthy in the end. And what I'm buying, the cheap food that I'm buying, at grocery stores, isn't really that good for us. And I think all those things kind of combined over the years has led us to be where we are and want to be where we are today. We want to eat healthier. We want to take care of ourselves and my family. We want to grow healthy food and be more connected to that process of actually growing things and see how things are produced, including caring for animals, and the whole system that is created when you have a functioning, sustainable homestead, and the relationship between you and the soil that you have, and the property that you have, and the animals that you have, and how that all works together to produce food and things for what you need to live. And that's why we're here, and that's truly why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, that's the reason that we're homesteading, or hobby farming, small scale farming, whatever you want to call this here. And I think when things like this whole pandemic come around, it helps to reinforce that whole idea, because another portion of that is being self-sustainable and being self-sufficient and self-reliant. And that's why you see this huge movement of people with tiny houses and going off grid and doing all these other things. They want to be self-reliant and less reliant on whatever can happen around us. Now, I just want to say, that doesn't mean that we're afraid. That's not a fear that anyone has, I don't think, in this whole community, including us. I mean, our hope and our salvation and our rock is our belief in and giving our life over to the Lord. I mean, that's where we find our strength, right? We find our strength in that belief and that faith. That's especially where we're at. When things like this, when outbreaks, when, you know, this is like one of the last things I kind of expected. You know, we prepare and we think about these things like hurricanes and tornadoes and storms and winter snowstorms and ice storms, and these are things that happen all the time. This whole virus thing was definitely kind of on the back burner. I never thought something like this would come around. But this whole thing has helped us to kind of take an inventory of where we're at as homesteaders. You know, where are we at as people that our goal is to be self-sufficient? We want to provide as much for ourselves as we can. Where are we at with that? And I think, you know, food-wise, we have the gardens, you know, just coming out here, we've got stuff growing, we've got stuff ready to eat, little things that we could supplement our food supply with. You know, we have animals here that we can use for food. We have cows and goats we can use for milk. We have a pretty sustainable operation when it comes to those systems. Are we 100% sustainable with the animals? No, we still rely on buying some feed to keep those animals healthy through the wintertime. Could they just eat hay and be okay? Yeah, probably. But I still think that there's some holes there that we need to think about. Providing animal feed, you know, is one of the things I'm really trying to work on here. It takes an enormous amount of property, space, and equipment and practice and experience to grow animal feed that can be storable for the year for the animals that you want to raise. And so that's something that we're definitely working on. Medicine's another thing. There's some medicines that we need that we can't grow ourselves, and other things like that we need to get. There's other things that we rely on, like fuel, and we're not 100% energy independent here either as far as electricity goes, but that's something that's definitely attainable. But I still need fuel for tractors and other things. And if I'm going to use horse-drawn equipment, you know, if I'm going to do everything like truly off-grid with horses, you know, that's a whole nother challenge. And so we're definitely not there yet, and nor do I think we'll ever be at that 100% mark. We still have the goal of doing as much as we can, and growing as much of our own food, and providing as much for ourselves. The one thing that I want to distinguish and say is we're not preppers. You know, some people, friends and family and things like that will joke sometimes, and, oh, you guys are like those preppers. We're not prep. We don't really. I think prepping to me, you know, is kind of a little bit overboard. It's a little silly. It's a very short-term and short-sighted solution to be preppers. And basically what I mean by that is someone who just stores up and stocks a whole bunch of crap. You know, you're like, I've got 3 years worth of food and toilet paper. Well, that's great. My goal is not to go live in a bunker for 3 years and survive off canned food. So that's not the healthy approach that I'm looking for. And so that's not our goal. We're not preppers. We are homesteaders. We are small-scale farmers, and we are people with the goal of being sustainable. And that's what this whole thing is all about. That's what the SSL Family Dad YouTube channel and our websites and everything that we do, it all centers around that one focus, is just to be as self-reliant and sustainable as we can, in every way that we can. And I think that we're on the right path, but we're not there yet. We're not even at 90%, I don't think. So what do you guys think? Is 100% self-reliant really possible? Is it even a goal that we should be shooting for? Is it something that is attainable? And how do you combine maybe some of the prepping mentality with some of the homesteading mentality to kind of ride through and weather these different storms that happen in a sinful and broken world, that there is going to be things like this happen in our lifetime? How do we weather those things a little bit smoother and be able to take care of our families and ourselves so that we can help others around us and not worry so much about ourselves during these crises? You know, I want to be able to help other people. So how do we do that? What's the is it possible to be off the grid and not have any contact or reliance on the outside world? What do you guys think? Love to hear from you guys. There'll be a new message coming out on Farmers for Christ here in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that. If you're not subscribed to Farmers for Christ, there's a link at the end of the video here to subscribe. Love to have you guys tag along over there as well. And of course, subscribe here to the SSL Family Dad channel. If this is your first time to the channel, love to have you tag along here. We do lots of homesteading, gardening, DIY type things, and whatever you can imagine that I need to do here. We try to videotape it all. So, as always, guys, thumbs up on the video today, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.